In all fairness to the former president, is that true? Do you have to use a teleprompter when speaking about President Trump? Or are you able to just kind of riff on your thoughts on him?
He's so stupid.
Trump just got hit with a roast so brutal even his signature spray tan couldn't hide the burn. Robert De Niro came in swinging like he was back in Goodfellas, while Jimmy Kimmel piled on with his late-night precision.
Look at the lame, inane things that he said. He's so stupid, he can't even say anything clever or smooth. He's a moron.
The audience ate it up. The internet exploded with memes. And Trump? Well, he was probably pacing the golden halls of Mar-a-Lago, phone in hand, muttering about washed-up actors while secretly rehearsing comebacks in the mirror. Will he strike back? Or is this the rare moment he's actually speechless? Doubtful, but watching him try will be pure comedic gold. Trump has always believed the media was out to get him, but he had no idea what was coming when De Niro and Kimmel tag-teamed him in a Hollywood-style smackdown. This wasn't just a roast. It was a full-scale comedic demolition, and the only thing left standing was the stage they delivered it on. The setup was simple. Kimmel, knowing this roast needed an extra dose of firepower, brought in De Niro.
Look, between you people, don't talk to me that way. You're just a lightweight. Don't talk to me that way. Don't talk to. I'm the president of the United States. Don't ever talk to the president that way.
Go ahead, take one. Well, I'll give you voters. I will give you voter suppression. You just have to sit down, please. Sit down. I didn't call you. Okay, question? Yeah, go ahead. Sure. She's shocked that I picked her.
No.
She's like in a state of shock.
De Niro to help land the knockout blows. As soon as De Niro walked onto the stage, the crowd erupted. Because when a man who has played mob bosses, war veterans, and hard-nosed grandpas joins forces with late-night TV's sharpest wit, you know things are about to get brutal. De Niro wasn't there for small talk. He was there to dish out the kind of verbal smackdown that only decades of pent-up frustration could fuel. The first joke landed like a cinematic gut punch. De Niro, never one for subtlety, went straight for Trump's obsession with looking powerful, while simultaneously avoiding any actual tough guy behavior. The audience roared with laughter. This is the same man who needed 2 hands to sip a glass of water, and De Niro wasn't about to let him forget it. Even Kimmel, a seasoned roast master, had to pause to let the laughter ride out. And just when people thought De Niro had landed the final blow, Kimmel slid in with a punchline so savage it could have been written by Martin Scorsese himself. He painted a vivid image of Trump watching the roast in real time, scrolling through his phone in a rage, his thumbs flying across the screen at 100 words per minute. The crowd roared again as Kimmel imagined Trump pausing only to bark at his staff.
Showed up for a rally dressed as a garbage man. Which I do have to say, the vest really brings out the color of his mouth. He even rode around in a garbage truck.
I don't understand why people are not taking him seriously, because you read about it historically in other countries that they didn't take the people seriously. I think Hitler, Mussolini, they're fools and clowns. Well, there will be, and I hear it. There's some people. I mean, who does not think that this guy is going to do exactly what he says he's going to do?
Right.
He's done it already.
Right.
And then what? We're going to sit around and say, what? We told you so? Or whoever, I told you so? It's going to happen. If he gets elected, it's going to change this.
Find me a way to block De Niro on Truth Social. The energy in the room was electric. There was something uniquely satisfying about watching De Niro, Hollywood's ultimate tough guy, publicly torch Trump in a way that no politician, journalist, or even late-night host ever quite could. Because when De Niro spoke, it wasn't just about the jokes. It was the sheer force of a man who genuinely, deeply, could not stand Trump. And that made every punchline land even harder. But the best part? The reaction outside the room. Within minutes, Twitter, X, was a war zone. MAGA defenders scrambled, unsure whether to dismiss De Niro as a washed-up hack or a deep state puppet. Meanwhile, Trump loyalists were desperately searching for one De Niro movie where he wasn't that good. Spoiler, they failed. And Trump himself? His meltdown was as predictable as the sun setting. While De Niro and Kimmel
is in the first week of a criminal trial, the first president to be on trial for a criminal offense for paying hush money to a pornographic film star. He was in court all day Monday. He was all day yesterday. Today he had a day off. And how did he spend that? Brunch with Melania? No. Maybe a catch with Barron in the yard? No. Santa Claus got up bright and early to post 165 venomous words about yours truly.
basked in the glory of their knockout performance. Trump was likely storming through the gilded hallways of Mar-a-Lago, composing one of his legendary all-caps rants. The question wasn't whether he'd respond, it was how unhinged it would be. Would he attack De Niro's acting? Call Kimmel a nobody? Declare Hollywood jealous of his success? Or, in a hilarious twist, accidentally quote one of De Niro's movies while trying to insult him? The world watched and waited. The roast had landed, the memes were flying, and Trump's need to have the last word was undeniable. But then, nothing. Crickets. For a man who thrives on instant reactions, the silence, however brief, was deafening.
Everyone. And in all seriousness, and we know it here, people have to get out and vote and vote and vote and vote.
Yeah. One time each. Do you think he pretends to be dumber than he is to confuse people and make them think, no, you think he's...
Was Trump actually stunned into rare speechlessness? The internet held its breath, half expecting an immediate all-caps meltdown. Somewhere in Mar-a-Lago, aides were likely exchanging nervous glances. "Sir, maybe don't respond to this one," one brave soul might have suggested, as if that had ever worked. And then, like clockwork, the storm hit. Trump couldn't resist. His thumbs found their way to the keyboard, and before anyone could intervene, the rant was live. A barrage of words flooded Truth Social, each more unhinged than the last. De Niro? Overrated? Kimmel?
Jimmy Kimmel's a loser. We would do Jimmy Kimmel. I'd do Jimmy Kimmel. I did him a lot.
Yeah.
He used to greet me on the sidewalk outside of his studio. I'd come in. This was before politics, of course. But I'd come in, and he'd be standing on the sidewalk. "Oh, sir, may I bring you in?" He'd bring me in every time. And then I ran for politics. I never, got involved with him much. But all they do is talk bad about Trump. That's all. The whole show is talking bad about Trump.
He is a ridiculous person.
A total lightweight. The entire roast? Rigged. The usual script, except for one new twist. Trump had suddenly declared himself a film critic. Forget the fact that Raging Bull, Casino, and The Irishman are widely considered cinematic masterpieces. Trump, the man whose acting resume consists mostly of a cameo in Home Alone 2: Lost in New York, had spoken. De Niro's movies? Unwatchable. Hollywood? A disaster. Did he even watch these movies? Unlikely. But when has logic ever stood in the way of a good rant? The internet wasted no time turning the roast into an all-out spectacle. Side-by-side comparisons of career-defining performances and blink-and-you-miss-it cameos flooded every corner of social media.
Donald Trump is just a master of comedic comments.
Talk show hosts, are they great, or do we need to make them great again and kind of go one by one here?
Oh, he's terrible. He's
great or great again, Jimmy Kimmel?
Well, he's not, he's not. First of all, they all have bad ratings. The one that's the most successful is Greg.
Is who?
Greg Gutfeld. So Jimmy Kimmel, we got to make him great again?
Jimmy Kimmel's a loser. Look, all they do is talk bad about Trump. That's all. The whole show is talking bad about Trump. Yeah. They're all equally bad.
One man had delivered some of the most iconic moments in film history, while the other had briefly popped up in a holiday movie, like an overeager extra. The contrast was almost too perfect, and the internet ran with it. But for anyone who thought this battle was wrapping up, they had another thing coming. Instead of dying down, the chaos only escalated. What began as a fiery exchange had evolved into a multi-day event, and those involved weren't about to let the moment fade. The next act of this saga unfolded in grand fashion, as the spotlight shifted to an elite Hollywood event where the gloves came off once again. Standing before a packed room, the energy crackled with anticipation. Another round of brutal jabs was unleashed, not just as a response, but as a full-scale obliteration. The kind of confidence displayed only comes when you know you've already won. The audience roared, cameras flashed, and somewhere far away, a familiar storm was brewing. This feud wasn't cooling off, it was just getting started. Then came the late-night onslaught. Jimmy Kimmel, always one to seize a moment, kept the jokes coming. Opening his monologue on Jimmy Kimmel Live, he wasted no time diving into Trump's meltdown over the roast. "Ladies and gentlemen, we did it, we broke him," Kimmel declared, before rolling a supercut of Trump's
Back in the day when I was on the primetime of Fox and you were on the primetime of CNN, a couple of hours after our shows ended, late night comics would come on, and they occasionally would make us laugh, Piers. As you know, they've abandoned that game now, and they're just political operatives out there.
It was a terrible night for women, for children, for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants who make this country go. For healthcare, for our climate. It was a terrible night for poor people, for our allies in Ukraine, for NATO. And guess what? It was a bad night for everyone who voted for him, too. You just don't...
Just get over yourself.
Romantic Truth Social posts. Kimmel even brought in a real film critic to compare Trump's Hollywood track record to De Niro's, roasting everything from The Apprentice to Ghosts Can't. Do it. One of these men has won an Oscar, Kimmel teased. The other once pretended to fire Meatloaf on national television. The audience howled. De Niro was commanding the spotlight. Kimmel was running late night like a champ. And Trump was probably still rage-typing like his phone owed him.
I'm not hysterical. I laugh when people say, oh, you've got Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah.
If you're a reasonable person, you should have Trump derangement syndrome. Right. And by the way, I think he has derangement syndrome about us, too. The fact of the matter is, this is a dangerous person. This is a stupid person. And that's a bad
rage-typing like his phone owed him money. At first, it seemed like a one-time roast session. A tag team takedown of Trump by De Niro and Kimmel. But Hollywood is nothing if not dramatic, and soon the fallout had more sequels than Fast and Furious. The moment clips of the roast hit the internet, A-listers started chiming in, each one ready to grab a microphone and throw their own jabs. Was this about to turn into a full-blown anti-Trump comedy tour? Because at this rate, Madison Square Garden might need to be booked. Enter late-night comedians, actors, and musicians who had been waiting for an opening. Stephen Colbert dedicated an entire segment to the art of the tantrum, breaking down Trump's response with the precision of a nature documentary. Seth Meyers took it even further, reenacting Trump's Twitter meltdown with dramatic piano music in the background. And the musicians?
You and I have something in common. We have both been immortalized on social media by our former president, Donald Trump.
Yeah.
We have, I think this might have been the first time he wrote about you. Robert De Niro, a very low IQ individual, has received he spelled two wrong, many shots to the head by real boxers in movies. I watched him last night, truly believe he may be punch drunk, and then he says, at the end, he says, wake up, punch.
In 48 hours, someone had already remixed De Niro's speech into a dance track. Meanwhile, Trump, true to form, refused to let it go. Damage control? Not his style. Instead, he hit back harder, launching another series of posts that somehow managed to insult Hollywood, the media, and De Niro's entire filmography in a single breath. He even attempted the classic I don't even care move, right before posting 5 more furious rants proving that yes, he absolutely did care. The real question, would De Niro and Kimmel respond again, or had they already won by making Trump implode on his own? De Niro, always the seasoned performer, didn't even need to say anything. His knowing smirk at another red carpet event.
Remember the Academy Awards? I said how he's the worst host in the history of the Academy Awards. And this stupid guy goes up, and just before the Best Picture of the Year, the show is almost over. They're waiting for the Best Picture of the Year. He gets up, and he says, and his wife said, please don't do it. Please, darling, don't go out. His manager said, don't do it. I have to do it. He goes out and reads my truth to the entire audience right before the prime time, the Best Picture, and it said basically, he is the worst host in the history. He reads the whole thing, And then I think he said something like, ha, 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 he thinks he bothers me, or some crap like that. I said, he's one of the dumbest human beings ever. He should have listened to his wife. What a dope.
Said it all. Kimmel? He was already teasing a part 2 on his next show. At this point, Trump wasn't just battling Hollywood, he was battling himself. If there's one thing the world knows about him, it's that he doesn't let things go. The man holds grudges like a toddler clinging to the last cookie, tight, stubborn, and with an absolute refusal to share. So, will he move on? Not a chance. The question isn't if he'll fire back again, but how soon and how ridiculous it will be. The possibilities are endless. Maybe he'll go on a new rant about Hollywood being a cesspool of washed-up losers, ignoring the fact that he was literally a reality TV host. Perhaps he'll attempt to outshine De Niro by claiming he too was offered a major movie role, but turned it down because he was too busy making America great again. If we're lucky, we might even get another bizarre nickname, because washed-up Bobby didn't land as hard as he probably thought. Meanwhile, rumors are swirling that Saturday Night Live is already brainstorming a skit. Can you imagine it? De Niro making a surprise cameo, delivering his lines with that signature mob boss intensity, while Alec Baldwin dusts off his Trump impression for one more night. If that happens, Trump might just need to start sending out cease and desist letters. And as for Kimmel,
Bobby, it's your favorite president. I forgive you, Bobby, for being such a loser about the election. It's not your fault you were born with a low IQ. It's not your fault, Bobby. Believe me. Bobby, your favorite president won. Kamala lost. She lost so strongly. You were wrong. You're a loser. You're a total loser. This show sucks. You're going to get low ratings, Bobby. You're going to get low ratings. Look at that. From Raging Bull to
oh, you know he's not letting this one die. Late-night writers are probably churning out fresh jokes at this very moment, preparing for another segment dedicated to Trump versus De Niro Round 2. The best part? De Niro doesn't even have to do anything. Just his name alone is enough to keep Trump spinning in circles. And the internet? At this point, X, formerly Twitter, is practically running on memes alone. People are throwing out wild theories about where this will go next. Will De Niro take the high road and ignore Trump completely, forcing him to spiral into frustration? Or will he lean in and hit him with one final devastating punchline? One thing is for sure, this feud isn't over. It never really is with Trump. The world is watching, popcorn in hand, waiting for the next chaotic chapter in what has officially become the weirdest Hollywood versus politics crossover event in history. At this point, expecting Trump to let it go is like expecting a cat to suddenly take up swimming. It's just not happening. The man thrives on feuds. And with De Niro and Kimmel tag teaming him in front of millions, there's no way he's walking away without at least attempting another round. The only real question is, will he fumble it again? The answer? Absolutely, yes. Meanwhile, SNL is on the case. Picture it. De Niro making a surprise cameo, delivering deadpan mob boss lines while an over-the-top Trump parody flails around, ranting about Hollywood elites and fake movies. If that sketch happens, expect an all-caps meltdown before the credits even roll. Kimmel? Oh, he's just getting started. There's no way he's letting this material go to waste. Late-night monologues will be packed with jabs, and Trump will be glued to his TV, furiously typing out another post. And the internet? It's feasting. More memes, more jokes, and probably a few deep fakes of Trump accidentally starring in Goodfellas. The world watches, waiting for the next absurd twist, because in this saga, the show never really ends.